start this off with a short disclaimer. I apologize for the fact that my speaking abilities aren't that good, and my video essay skills are not that good. I just like to do this stuff for fun, so it's not too well structured or researched and all that. But I don't know, I just enjoy making content, so I wanted to put that out there first. Um, as usual, I do actually like seeing friendly comments, so let's keep it nice and civil in, the comment section. And please, correct me in some places because I make a lot of mistakes when making these videos and all that. So, and also I just love to see some of the comments at times. So, yeah. And I just want to say thank you for the reception with some of my other videos. I'm quite shocked. I didn't think it would do as well as it did as a small YouTuber. And honestly, I'm okay with staying a small YouTuber. This is nice. It's nice and cozy. The internet's a scary place. Without further ado, I hope you enjoy it, and I hope my yapping wasn't too bad. Okay, so there's a ton of really good Pixar characters, you know? Like, where do we start? There's the old man from Up. That's a really nice one. Then there's Ratatouille. The rat has really nice dynamic with the chef. Um, and then Wall-E, dude. I remember watching Wall-E in school, and it just, I don't know, it was so nice to see how well written the characters were, even though they didn't say too much. It's just something about Pixar characters back then that spoke to us in such a way that we saw a bit of ourselves and our different dynamics in these characters and how they really appeal to us. And we always talk about so many characters like Buzz Lightyear, Woody, Lightning McQueen, just all of these characters. And sorry, a lot of them may not be coming to my head right now, but there is one that I've rarely seen anyone talk about, and I thought it would be worth talking about him in this video. The Fabulous Hudson Hornet. The Fabulous Hudson Hornet, Doc Hudson, is such an underrated character. I feel like someone needs to do a little bit of justice, We all talk about other Pixar greats and all that, and Cars as a movie is kind of the black sheep of, the Pixar greats from what I've heard of. I don't think Cars is that bad. It's actually one of my favorite movies, since I was a kid. But one character that a lot of kids didn't like too much was Doc Hudson. But even as a kid, I absolutely adored Doc Hudson. There was something about that character that spoke to me when I was a young kid. And when I grew up, nothing changed. I just loved him even more. He is, amazing. But, what makes him such a fascinating character? I guess that's what we're gonna explore, We're gonna explore his secrets, some of his themes, and just a little bit more about Doc Hudson, Well, to understand Doc Hudson, we need to understand a little bit about his past. I wanna also thank Ned Wheeler, this YouTube channel which my editor will show soon. He provides a lot of history and a lot of context to Doc Hudson and his past. So, thank you, Ned Wheeler. I loved the video, by the way. Doc Hudson was built in Watkins Glen, where he finally got to feel the thrill of racing after moving from Motor City, Detroit to Thomasville in 1951, right? That's where he would begin to get a name for himself as one of the biggest racing legends of all time. And this is, actually, fun fact, Doc Hudson is based off of Paul Newman, one of the greatest racers of all time as well. More on that later. And the thing about Thomasville was it had dirt track racing, which was very popular back then, and hence why Doc Hudson is so known for dirt track racing in specifics. He was very similar to Lightning McQueen, the protagonist of Cars, where he was very cocky, very pompous, going around town boasting the fact that he was the fabulous Hudson Hornet. But the thing was, he was fast, he was skilled, he was smart, he was crafty, and no one could question it. You know that feeling when someone's so good at their craft you can't really crap talk them, but they can crap talk you? Kind of like that. He was trained by Smokey, which we would later see in Cars 3, and they were quite the unstoppable duo. Even with younger generations of cars, more fresher, well-built cars, coming into the scene, he could still outcompete them. They could have a higher, like, max speed, and he would still come out on top because he knew his craft so well, you know? And he won 3 Piston Cups, which back then was the most anyone had ever won. And to this day, he held the most wins in a season ever recorded. And I think that's what Paul Newman actually achieved, if I'm not wrong. He went uncontested. To this day, that record is uncontested, and I think that is fascinating. However, something happened on June 21st, 1954, during the Fireball Beach 500 race. He suffered a devastating crash, which would be later known as the career-ending crash for him. He didn't know it at the time, but that was going to be the case. Doctors told him that, you know, Doc, you can't race anymore in these conditions. His crash was the most devastating. It was all over the news, everywhere in the car universe. And it was heartbreaking. But he thought, I'm not going to give up here. I'm not going to let those people define who I am. I will not let those cars say that that's it for me. So he decided to fix himself as much as he could. And then, before the next season started, he was ready to race again. But, as fate would have it, you know what they told him? Your history. And with those words from his sponsor, he was replaced. He was abandoned. He was forgotten. Nobody wanted to take photos with him. Nobody remembered him. People moved on. People always move on, and that was tragic. Doc Hudson felt dejected. He was no longer the fabulous Hudson Hornet. Was he even the Hudson Hornet? Was he even Doc? He felt so dejected, and he tried to go away. But every single place he went to, he was reminded of his racing past. You're the fabulous Hudson Hornet. I recognize you. Can I take a photo with you? Oh my god, you had so many wins. Everywhere he went, he was reminded of his past. He was reminded of the world he was rejected from. He had so much to offer, and he was rejected so badly. So, eventually, he didn't know where to go. He changed his look, his paint job, his tires, and people still recognized him. So he went as far as he could, somewhere near Route 66, right? And he kept driving and driving. And eventually, there was a car that was stranded on the side. And he helped him out despite not having any medical experience. And then he found a new sense of fulfillment when he saw that car being able to drive normally and happily, going at a higher speed than he normally would, enjoying his life on the road. Doc realized something. There's still hope for me. But where will he go? And after doing some driving in some directions, here and there, just seeing where the road would take him, he eventually found a place of, you know, internal combustion, where he could become a doctor. And eventually, he graduated in 1960. He was happy because no one in these outskirts would recognize who he was. He could finally move on from his past, you know? He now has a degree in clinical aerodynamics, internal hydraulics, and tolerances and clearances. More than me. But, regardless, it was fascinating. He proved to the world that he had so much more to show. But now, he was going to reside peacefully in Radiator Springs where not a single person recognized him. He opened his clinic, and he was treating people. He was one of the best internal combustion doctors you could get. He worked very hard and stuck with the town even when the town was abandoned. But obviously it wouldn't be as peaceful as it was, because we already know what happened in the events of Cars. And now I bring you to the next section. We follow a hotshot rookie, Lightning McQueen, outcompeting everyone and being a cocky son of a gun. No one liked him, except obviously fans and fangirls. He was an absolute douche to his pit stop and his crew. He was a douche to other people around him. He wasn't too much better than Chick Hicks. They had to make Chick Hicks look so bad so that this guy would have any credibility. He was that unlikable. And after some shenanigans that happens in cars, he finds himself in Radiator Springs, right? He caused so much damage because he wasn't focusing straight, he was speeding, he destroyed the town's roads, just the general area of the town, this peaceful, sleeping town. He just destroyed everything. And he was captured by the sheriff and all that, and eventually he was brought to court. Guess who was the judge? Not Sans. I mean, we know Sans is the judge, but on this universe, it was Doc Hudson. Yes, the Doc Hudson that we know now. He was the judge, and he was explaining how he was going to make that perpetrator regret what he did. But once he noticed it was a racing car, he wanted him gone as fast as possible. He did not care about justice. He wanted him gone. But obviously, after the town did some convincing, Doc Hudson agreed. He will make sure that Lightning McQueen fixed the road and then got the hell out of there. Right? And yeah, he did not like this guy at all. He saw so much about him that he really didn't like. And from the perspective of Lightning McQueen, who the hell was this really, like, annoying old man telling him what to do? Like, there's no way that this guy is the judge, right? Look at this bitter old man, right? But obviously he has to do the road. So Lightning McQueen rushes the road. He does it absolutely abhorrently. And he bullies the town for it. But guess who stands up to him? Doc Hudson. And you know what he does? He comes up to him and challenges him to a race. Who is this person? Why is he challenging him to a race? And as Lightning McQueen said, what, you go from 0 to 60 in what, 3.5 years? And then Doc Hudson said, then I don't think you have anything to worry about for this race. So they were brought to a racetrack, a dirt track specifically. And so, after the countdown happens and some shenanigans, 3, 2, 1, they blast off. And you think Lightning McQueen is gonna win. Again, this senile old man who doesn't really know what he's doing. But guess what? Lightning McQueen loses. How? This old car has no chance of beating the Lightning McQueen, right? How is this even possible? Right? There's surely more to him. You know, what's the deal with this guy? He plays the role of judge, tells him what to do, and then challenges him to a race that he ends up winning somehow? Oh god, this guy must be so annoying, right? So, obviously, Lightning McQueen has to clean up the whole road and, again, start from scratch and actually make it smooth. And the next morning, Doc Hudson notices that the kid actually put in a lot of effort to making the road better. So, he goes up to Lightning, right? He asks the sheriff where he is, and he's doing the same turn that he failed during the race, hence why he lost. And that's all he was doing. He wasn't even making an attempt to escape. So Doc Hudson said, alright, let me try talking to him. You can go take a break. So he does, and he tries to give Lightning McQueen some advice. But who is this old man giving him advice? The Lightning McQueen. So you're a judge, a doctor, and a race car, huh? So Lightning McQueen, being as rude as possible, drives off with it, right? And Doc Hudson, despite trying his best to open up and be nicer and all that, was rejected once again by the racing world. Why would he have any reason to come back to it? And now we move to the scene where Lightning McQueen is coping and mauling at Doc Hudson, and he kicks a trash can, right? And unfortunately, it goes into Doc Hudson's garage. So he feels bad and he wants to clean up the place. So he goes into Doc's garage to take out the trash can, but guess what he discovers? This is the fabulous Hudson Hornet. This isn't just a random old car. This was one of the greatest racers of all time. How did he not see it before? Right? He understands it now. That what he was trying to say to him earlier was advice. And then, boom, Doc Hudson sees him. Get the hell out of my garage. And he tells them that, you know, I tried to teach you my tricks, you know? When Lightning McQueen asks, you know, why won't you teach me? He's like, yeah, I tried that. And then again, we can see that he gets rejected all the time. So he has every right to say no, considering how rude Lightning McQueen has been to the residents and him so far. So, of course, he slams the door on Lightning McQueen and tries to avoid him as much as possible. And then, obviously, we get some shenanigans with, you know, the townsfolk, some character development for Lightning McQueen and all. We don't see Doc Hudson for a while. But then, it's leading up to one of my favorite scenes in any form of media. The race. We get to see the true Hudson. Finally, we get to see it. In one of the best scenes I've ever seen in media, Doc Hudson puts on his racing tires once again, and he goes for a drive. You can hear the music. It's masterfully done. The details, the scenery, everything. Everything has been leading up to this. A man that was so broken by the world, that was rejected in every single way, decides to put on his shoes once again and go for a run. He gets to feel the thrill of who he once used to be when he was younger. He remembers what his skills were, what made him him. You know, the thrill of racing, the thrill of going fast, outsmarting your opponents, thinking, doing every turn so masterfully that we get to see it. The drift that Lightning failed. Because Lightning was stubborn. He was who Doc used to be. But Doc is no longer that stubborn car he once was. He did the drift, and he did that masterfully, and no one could have ever done it better in history. Everything led up to this. A broken, old man showing the world he still has it in him. And then Lightning McQueen discovers it. He got to see it. He got to see the real Doc Hudson. Not the Doc Hudson who was the judge. Not the Doc Hudson who was bitter. Not the Doc Hudson who was a doctor. But the Doc Hudson. The multi-talented, wise, and intelligent car. The one who would pull off insane shit that no car in history can pull off to this day. The Doc Hudson is finally shown. Not just to, you know, Lightning McQueen, but the audience. And it speaks to us. We're happy. We finally get to see the real Hudson Hornet. He finally gets to spread his wings once more. But then, he spots Lightning. And he goes into his garage, you know, being like, oh my god, I don't want you seeing me. I didn't want anything to do with you. He drives off without a word, right? Lightning McQueen chases after him. He really wants to know what happened, you know. His driving skills are still so good. He's still on top of his game. Generations ahead. People could go at 200 miles per hour, and he could still put up a competition with just 107 miles per hour. Can you believe it? Why did you quit? You know? Why did you quit, Doc, when you were on the top of your game? And we get arguably the most chilling scene I've ever seen. Now, there's a lot of sad media. You know, Omori, Undertale, Squid Game, and all that, but god, this hits different. And we finally get to see Doc Hudson take off his bandages and show his injuries. You know? And now we can see the setting has completely changed. The sun has gone down to more pastel color. Things are much darker. And Doc Hudson has the most serious face ever. It's chilling. You think he quit? And he turns on the lights. He shows Lightning McQueen a paper. And what does that paper show? The Doc Hudson crash. The fabulous Hudson Hornets crash in 1954, 21st July. His big wreck in 54. They quit on him. The world quit on him. When he was finally able to put himself back together and go back, ready to go into the scene once more, you know what they told him? Your history. And they moved on to the next rookies standing in line. And the worst part was, there was a lot left in him. He never got to blossom. He puts these papers, these trophies, as a stinging reminder why he can never go back to that world, why he will never be accepted, why he will never be loved. It's a reminder to show him that people treated him like trash. It's a reminder that he was abandoned and forgotten, and he was only known for his sense of entertainment. And once he couldn't entertain people, what point was there? Business people gave up on him because he wasn't profitable. The fans gave up on them because they were bored. They wanted to see newer generations, and they thought he couldn't do it anymore. Nobody did. Nobody came to help him. He thought he was on top of his game. He thought the world loved him, like so many of us. And when we called for help, nobody came. And Lightning McQueen said that he wasn't one of those type of people. That he was better. And the sad thing about this scene was, he really was getting better. And Doc Hudson called him out. He says, these are good people around here who care about one another. And he doesn't want Lightning to ruin that. Like everyone ruined it for him. And Lightning calls him out. All you've been doing is sitting here and lying about who you were. You can't accept who you are. You haven't come to terms with who you are. Right? And in a twist of fate, it was Doc Hudson who let him stay in his garage and said, just finish the road and get out of there. And he drives off. Once again, left bitter, bitter, bitter. But Lightning isn't too upset. Feels bad for Doc, but Doc doesn't see something that he does now. And it's tragic. And eventually, some other shenanigans happen in the Cars movie. Lightning is becoming a better person, helping other people out in the towns, in the residents, getting with Sally. It's nice to see. But guess what? It all comes crashing down once so many cars just start coming to Radiator Springs. What could it be? Guess what? It's the entire media outlet. They are taking so many pictures of Lightning McQueen. They're stressing him out, have him crowded. Where did you go? You disappeared. But Lightning McQueen is a better man now. He doesn't care about the fame. He doesn't care about the Dynago sponsor. He wants to be happy. He wants to be a person. He broke free from the celebrity chain. Like Doc did. But he healed. Doc didn't. But regardless, he had to go. He had to leave Radiator Springs because he had a race. And who called him, though? Who called the media to take Lightning McQueen away? They didn't know he was there. And it's revealed that Doc Hudson did. He wanted to drive away racing in every regard. So, after that conversation and all that, he called over the media, told them where Lightning McQueen was, and made them go away. He gave the town false hope that they were going to get a crowd. And Sally came up to him and said, you called them. Doc said it was best for everyone. But Sally gave him a reality check saying, really, it was just best for you. And drove off. That was the love of his life. That was Sally's love of their life just gone. That was Mater's best friend gone. That was Sheriff's pal gone. That was Sarge's soldier gone. Everyone lost someone that day when Lightning left. And he was forced to leave. Then Doc Hudson realizes it. He forced him to do something. Like he was forced to do. He was forced to quit, and now he's forcing Lightning to go back like that. And maybe it was for his own good, but look what he did. Look what he did to everyone. Look what he did to himself and Lightning. Mater, Sally. Everyone looked so sad and dejected. They didn't even get to say goodbye to him. Everyone leaves, somber and sad, and there Doc Hudson stays. He watches in shock that everyone really did care about Lightning, and they all drive away. Then he looks up at the broken light, the traffic light, and you know what it shows? It shows yellow or orange, however you want to say it. It just stays there, blinking. All the lights are out. That's the only source that Doc Hudson has. Just a single light source that doesn't even work properly. And it's a traffic light. Flickering. Just yellow. And he sits there contemplating in the middle of night. Was it really worth it? Did Was he in the wrong? Was there something he didn't understand? And it's really depressing. Once again, Doc Hudson, with a nice symbolism here, he's left completely alone. You know? But he isolated Lightning. He isolated everyone, and in turn, he got isolated. His own selfish desires were put aside. He didn't care about Lightning's health. He didn't care about casting correct judgment either. He was being selfish. Just like all the other people were. Selfish about what they wanted from Doc. Entertainment, money, business. He had to set things right. Now that we've reached this point of the video essay, I want to just say thank you if you've come this far. Holy crap. Why are you still watching this? I didn't think it would be this entertaining, but sure, it worked out, right? I want to talk about some other stuff, I guess. Just minor stuff. But it's fascinating just how underrated this character is. Pixar made so many good characters, and I understand why Cars may have overshadowed Doc Hudson, but I think Doc deserves some love. You know, I think we've all been there, in a place that we've been abandoned, or we were never as good as we once were at the, you know, at a certain game. We're not at the top anymore. You know? It feels like the world's given up on you, and people only see you for your status, in that sense, and not who you are. Doc felt this way. Doc was only recognized for being the racer. He was never recognized otherwise. He did so much for his fans. He went the extra mile, but they still never really cared about him. They just moved on to the next people. The next cars. And it's easy to feel abandoned in this world. The world isn't a forgiving place. We learned this in Cars, right? When you're young, strong, and all that, you have a lot to offer, but when you become aged, you're forgotten, you're abandoned. Your skills weren't as good as they used to be. But that's the thing. That's what aging makes you believe. That's not true. You know that there are still people who are so aged that they can do amazing dances. They can do death-defying stunts. They can pull off so much work. They can keep working until the age of 90 and above. Some of them have such dedication. The human spirit never died. Only your body is aging. And that too, with the right amount of beliefs and people and strength, you can push forward despite your physical handicaps. It's beautiful. And even though the world abandons you, there's that one person that looks at you and they see your scars and everything you've been through. And all the people that hate you, and they still go, I love you. And I care for you. You know? And you are worth helping. And I love that. Maybe I'm looking too deep into this, but I guess that's kind of my job, huh? I'm a YouTuber, bro. I'm trying to make content. But that's the thing. It's true. There's so much symbolism to this character that was just so undermined. The bitterness is too accurate. When you try to give someone advice, because you knew from experience, they look down on you. Because they may think, look at this old man, or look at this person, he looks ugly, or what is he talking about, he's probably crazy. People don't respect you, but you don't always need people's respect. You can be powerful on your own, not having to build upon what other people say, but what people you love say. You know? Fight for them. Every race you win shows them how much you're willing to go the extra mile just for them. And shit like that. It's beautiful, the symbolism of Doc Hudson. A man that's abandoned by the world and gets back up every single time. He was directionless. He was purposeless. And he still found it. And even in a bitter and broken state, he managed to fix himself as well, right? We can all do the same. We all have something to pick up from Doc. We can achieve amazing stuff as well. And that's what I found so appealing about this character. It's the fact that he's so relatable. In a sense, he is us. We relate to Lightning McQueen when we were younger, because we want to be that hotshot rookie, young, all that, pulling the women and all that stuff, whatever it is, right? Getting rich. But we never got to understand Doc. And we always thought he was a cynical old man that was closed off and cut off from the world, and we didn't really like his character. Until we realized that we grew up into Doc in a similar sense. And to Squidward, like that as well. You know? Just these characters that we grow into. We started off as SpongeBob and Lightning McQueen, and we ended up like Doc and Squidward. And obviously that may not be true for everybody. I'm not saying this, but this is obviously a video essay, a symbolism, trying to explain things. And that's why I think Doc Hudson is so underrated. He's one of the most underrated characters. Can we please make the word that Doc Hudson is such an amazing character? I need to see someone, like a popular YouTuber, please talk about it. Please, 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 please. I beg you. This is such a good character. His character design, his voice, and everything. Yeah. It's beautiful. And I guess, I don't know, Doc Hudson is amazing. Because you know that one Undertale quote? Despite everything, it's still you? Yeah. And there's one more thing I would like to add on to this. You want to know what it is? The best part about racing for Doc was mentoring Lightning. It was to see that smile on Lightning's face. And we found this out from Cars 3, and probably the most emotional and heartbreaking scene ever. And it was Lightning who brought joy to his life. It's that he got to live life for once. He got to not just speed or slow down. He got to enjoy the journey and the ride and the people around him. You know? He didn't care about his age or his status. He found purpose. He found life. And that's what made Doc Hudson so appealing. As this video is ending, I don't know if you made it this far, but if you did, thank you. Thank you for making it this far. It means a lot to me. Even if it means you just skip to the end. I'm okay with that. And I just wanted to say, again, thanks, but more importantly, thank you, Paul Newman. Your voice acting helped bring this character to life. You were the biggest inspiration. This character was based off of you. But more importantly, I've never seen a character, like a person who is the character. You were Doc Hudson, Paul Newman. You taught us all something in life. You were the wise old guy we could all look up to. You had some of the greatest achievements in racing history, and you were what made this movie so great. You were the thing that carried this franchise, Paul Newman. I miss you a lot. And I want to thank you for bringing the gift to so many people. People who love media, movies, video essays, philosophers. You brought a lot. You did racing justice. Thank you, Paul Newman. Rest in peace. You were one of the best racers of all time. One of the legends. And just someone to look up to. And thank you guys for making this video a thing even. Because what is a YouTuber without its consumers? What is a YouTuber without its audience? What's a comedian without someone?